Hi friends, thank you so much for tuning in to my recap of Study Article 45, which will be studied at Jehovah's Witness Zoom meetings the week of January the 10th, 2022. I wanted to show you my hat. I wore this hat. It says Rock Star, because friends, listen, we are all rock stars. If you're watching this video, that means that you have in some way had doubts about your religion, about the Jehovah's Witness organization. And if you're having doubts, friends, you're a rock star, because you were able to conquer, or at least take the first step in conquering the Jehovah's Witness organization, which had a tremendous stronghold on us that kept us living a life of defeat. So anyway, friends, I just wanted to show you this, that we're all rock stars, okay? So let's dive right into this article. Basically what it is it's a continuation of last week's Study Article 44, in which Watchtower wants their followers to believe that their God, Jehovah, has a different kind of love, a loyal love for the indoctrinated. They contrast that with a general kind of love that Jehovah has for the rest of mankind, as stated when he stated in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomever shall believe in him shall have everlasting life." There are not two different kinds of love, friends, and it's a lie to keep the indoctrinated hooked and staying within the organization, because in their minds, if they have doubt about the 8 men living in New York as being God's only channel, that their God, Jehovah, may withdraw this loyal love and they may be in danger. That's the gist of what this is all about. Leaving the organization and having that happen would be terrifying. So friends, check that video out. You can see it here. Plus I will place a link down in the description box. And knowing that, let's move on to Study Article 45. I wanted to thank one of my viewers in Idaho for providing this beautiful picture. This may be on their property. I can't remember what she said, but I wanted to thank you so much, my friend. This is very beautiful. Here it is, friends. Continue showing loyal love to one another. The preview says that this is about Ruth, Naomi, and Boaz. So here we go again. This is the same old stuff. I've recapped articles about the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth is definitely a book about love, but there is a much greater significance to the book of Ruth. I'm going to be showing that significance to you as we move along. All right, friends, notice the theme is Zechariah 7:9. Watchtower quotes it as, "Deal with one another in loyal love and mercy." Do you see that underlined there? We're going to put this into context, and we're going to read on the right, starting at verse 4, only what's underlined. "Then came the word of the Lord of hosts unto me, saying, Speak unto all the people of the land and to the priests, saying, When you fasted and mourned, did you at all fast to me, even to me? And when you ate, did you eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves?" Then verse 9 is a portion of verse 9 is what they cited. The Lord basically telling them, execute true judgment and show mercy and compassions, every man to his brother. Notice verse 11. But they refused to listen. Friends, these verses in Zechariah talk about Israel's rebellion. Why is Watchtower once again quoting and citing verses about a rebellious people who chose false idols over the true God of the Bible? Here we go again. Makes you wonder. We're going to move to paragraph 4, down at the bottom, in green. As we learned in the preceding article, Jehovah reserves his loyal love, his enduring feelings of loving attachment for those who love him and serve him. And look, they cite Daniel 9:4. But we're going to put that verse into context. The verse that they quoted is in green there, verse 4. He stated this when he was praying, confessing that Israel, the Jews, had sinned against God. See that in verse 5, what's underlined? We have sinned, we've committed iniquity, we've done wickedly, we've rebelled. This was why they were in Babylon, because they turned to false idols, friends, and God brought judgment on them to bring them back to him. These verses pertain to a sinful people who repeatedly sinned against their God. Watchtower is citing that verse in support of how Jehovah, the God of Watchtower, has a special kind of love for Jehovah's Witnesses. But notice in blue, Jonathan's father wanted to kill David. Years after Jonathan's death, David still continued to show loyal love to Jonathan's son, Mephibosheth. Watchtower loves to talk about how Saul tried to kill David. What does Saul trying to kill David have to do with David showing loyal love to Mephibosheth? It has nothing to do with that. All right, let's look at paragraph 9. In the box there, what can we learn from the book of Ruth about showing loyal love? In the book of Ruth, we read the story of Naomi, her daughter-in-law Ruth, and a God-fearing man named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband. Because of a famine in Israel, Naomi, her husband, and 2 sons moved to Moab. While there, Naomi's husband died. Her 2 sons got married, but sadly they too died. Those blows caused Naomi to sink deeper and deeper into despair. She became so overwhelmed by anguish that she concluded that Jehovah was opposing her. Note how she expressed her feelings about God. The hand of Jehovah has turned against me. The Almighty has made life very bitter for me. Friends, look, the book of Ruth starts this way, but this Watchtower article stays stuck in Ruth chapter 1. But that is not what the book of Ruth is all about. Notice paragraph 10 in pink. How did Jehovah react to Naomi's bitter words? He did not turn against his distraught servant. On the contrary, he showed empathy for her. Jehovah understands that oppression can drive the wise one into madness. Oh boy. Continuing on in the pink box, he moved Ruth to reach out and show loyal love to Naomi. Willingly and gently, Ruth helped her mother-in-law to regain her emotional and spiritual balance. All right, let me just set the stage for the book of Ruth. It takes place in about 1100 BC, during the time of the Judges. This was before King Saul and King David, when God ruled Israel via judges. Read the book of Judges and you'll see. So what would happen is Israel would turn away from God to false idols. And this is very important to understand about Scripture, because so many people say that the God of the Old Testament is a bloodthirsty God, okay? But let me explain something. What the pagans were doing during this time is they were committing human sacrifice. You have to understand, if the idolaters, the pagans, they basically worshiped false gods. Lucifer, Satan. Okay, they did not worship the one true God. And because the one true God, he requires a blood sacrifice for sins, ultimately fulfilling it by sacrificing his own son. But the devil is a copycat. So the devil requires blood sacrifice as well. But the devil requires human sacrifice. So when Israel was turning to these false idols, they were sacrificing their babies and their children. They were also going up into the groves in the woods, and they were entering the pagan temples by going through the temple prostitutes. So what God was doing in the time of the Judges, when Israel would stray and do this as a righteous judge, he would bring a people of a different tongue, foreigners there, to conquer them, to make war with them, or he would bring a plague to turn them away from these pagan practices. And then he would raise up a judge to deliver them. That's what the book of Judges is about. Think about this, friends. In your hometown, if the majority of the people were committing human sacrifice, wouldn't you want a righteous judge to come along and say, done? you're done. You're killing people. Remember the movie Indiana Jones at the end when, I don't know if it's the Mayan priest or the Incas or whatever, but they cut the heart out of. That's what they were doing. I mean, that's what these people were doing. They were sacrificing. So God came and he wiped them out. Anyway, the book of Ruth has this setting, and the Israelites were told, don't go to Moab. So what happened was God brought a famine to the land of Israel because of their idolatry. And Ruth's husband fled Israel to Moab, which was what he was told not to do. So in an attempt to save themselves by going where they shouldn't go, Ruth's husband and sons end up dying there. We don't know how. That's the context so far of Ruth. Let's keep going. Paragraph 12 in green. Often the most effective way you can help a discouraged brother or sister is by lending a listening ear and by reassuring him or her of your love. They're trying to tie in how Naomi was distraught and the daughter-in-law Ruth comforted her. Okay, but that's not what the story is about. Let's keep going. Paragraph 13 in red. We gain further insight into loyal love by considering what happened to Naomi after the death of her husband and 2 sons. When Naomi learned that Jehovah had turned his attention to his people by giving them food, friends, you have to understand, they were in Moab where they were not supposed to be. They didn't even know that the famine had lifted in Israel. Had they been in Israel there, they would have known that. So Naomi has to return. Moving along in the red box, both daughters-in-law started out with her. Along the way, however, 3 times Naomi urged the women to return to Moab. What happened? We read, Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and departed, but Ruth stuck with her. By choosing to return, Orpah was following Naomi's instructions, doing what was expected. Do you notice that they cite Ruth 1, chapter 1, verse 7 through 14? But look at verse 15. And Naomi said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law, is what she's telling Ruth. Notice at the top in the pink box, Ruth chose to stick with Naomi, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Ruth's decision was an act of true loyal love. Notice verse 16. What does Ruth say? What's underlined? I will lodge, thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. It was more than Ruth comforting Naomi. Ruth, the Moabitess, by the way, who were the Moabites? The Moabites were the people group who were the result of the incestuous relationship between Lot and his daughter. When Lot's daughters thought they were the only ones remaining on earth, and you know what happened? The Moabites came about as a result of that, okay? So this foreigner, this Ruth Moabitess, chose the God of the Bible. It's not just about her comforting Naomi. Watchtower doesn't even tell you that. Let's keep going. Paragraph 14 in blue. Loyal love goes beyond what's expected. This paragraph talks about how many of the brothers and sisters have chosen to show loyal love for fellow believers. What's underlined during natural disasters or when someone in the congregation falls on hard times, they make personal sacrifices. Notice it's the rank and file that are making the sacrifices, not the organization. Keep going in red. How can we show loyal love today? Be persistent. Paragraph 17 at the top. Application. It takes patience to help those who are depressed. Paragraph 18. Do not take it personally. In the box, despite all of this, Naomi said, Jehovah made me return empty-handed. With those words, Naomi did not even acknowledge the support of Ruth, who was standing next to her. How painful. Paragraph 19. Application. Today, a sister in distress may initially speak to us in a hurtful way, despite all our efforts to help her. This is nonsense, friends. The story has nothing to do with that. On the right, we're going to move on. Paragraph 20, all of what is in green. Give timely encouragement. And in the box, and Jehovah moved Boaz to encourage her. Boaz said to Ruth, "May Jehovah reward you for what you've done, and may there be a perfect wage for you from Jehovah, the God of Israel." Those heartwarming words touched Ruth deeply. You're not going to believe what this real story is about. It's not this nonsense. Let's keep going. Paragraph 21 in the blue box. Just as Boaz reassured Ruth that her kindness had not gone unnoticed, observant elders today gratefully acknowledge the help that loving brothers and sisters provide. Yeah, okay. Paragraph 22. After some time had passed, Boaz provided a generous gift of food. Friends, isn't that what people do? They provide assistance. They provide help to friends. And this is not limited to the Jehovah's Witness organization. They think they're the only ones providing help because they only listen to what the governing body tells them, but that's not the case. If that were the case, the news media would be covering the Jehovah's Witnesses, not the Red Cross and all of the local people, churches providing food. Anyway, let's keep going. Paragraph 23 in red. Naomi finally began to see Jehovah's hand in her life. Jehovah had used Ruth to give needed support on the journey to Judah. Look, friends, they're still stuck in Ruth chapter 1. That is crazy. Naomi also saw Jehovah's hand when Boaz, one of their repurchasers, lovingly made generous provisions for the two women. In purple, now I understand. She must have thought, Jehovah never left me. In orange, paragraph 24. What have we learned from the book of Ruth about loyal love? Loyal love moves us not to give up easily on brothers and sisters who are in distress. It also moves us to make sacrifices in order to help them. What does the organization do? In the green box, what though is the foremost reason why we continue to show loyal love? Because we want to imitate and please Jehovah, who is abundant in loyal love. So if you're not helping others, you're not pleasing Jehovah. That's the key. All right, friends, let's talk about the book of Ruth, because the book of Ruth is all about the kinsman redeemer. The role of the kinsman redeemer is found in Leviticus 25 if you want to look it up. But basically, the kinsman redeemer is to step up when a family member, a male family member, dies and has no son, no heir, and leaves a wife and land. The kinsman redeemer is to redeem that land to carry on the family name. This is the position that Boaz is in, and Boaz willingly steps up. You see, because there's another closer family member, and Boaz had to go to that family member first, but that family member was not willing to take on Ruth, the Moabitess. Boaz marries Ruth. It's a beautiful love story. He redeems the land. You see, Naomi had land in Moab, but she had no money. She was destitute. She couldn't hire the people to farm the land. She couldn't do anything with it. Boaz came to the rescue. Friends, this story it portrays God's blessings on the righteous. It had nothing to do with Ruth being nice to Naomi or showing loyal love. Boaz portrays Christ. Christians are called the bride of Christ. Boaz redeemed the land, marries Ruth, and Ruth is in the lineage of Christ. Boaz redeemed the lineage of Naomi's husband Elimelech. Jesus redeemed all of mankind. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 says, "For he will save his people from their sins." Friends, Ruth and Naomi, they were not able to rescue themselves, just as we are not able to rescue ourselves. The deed to the earth was lost as a result of Adam's sin. Who is worthy to open the scrolls? Jesus. Jesus redeemed mankind. Jesus paid the price for our sins. Jesus, as the kinsman redeemer, opens the scrolls. He is the only one worthy because he is the creator. and he redeemed the earth as well, friends. Ruth was a Gentile. She was a Moabite, just as Christians now can be redeemed and enter into the family of God through Christ's sacrifice. It's a beautiful story. So what does this mean for us that we have a Redeemer? Friends, our past is forgiven because our debt was paid. Our future is assured because we're no longer slaves. We've been redeemed. Watchtower still calls us good-for-nothing slaves, and that is a lie. That is not true at all, friends. Our future is secure because we are an heir to the throne. That's if you're a Christian. That's if you've accepted your Redeemer, Jesus Christ. That's if you have put your faith and your trust in him, friends. That's about all I have for you this week, friends. Check out study article 44 from last week if you're confused about this whole loyal love thing, or don't. I don't know why you would want to, but what do you think about this, friends? Read the book of Ruth. It's an amazing story. It's a love story, and it's a story about redemption. Ruth, the Moabitess, was redeemed, and she was in the lineage of Jesus. Isn't that amazing? There's hope for the hopeless, friends. So thank you so much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a great day.